go. Hopefully this is working. And hello, welcome to the Dingers and Discourse podcast. Your home for Mario Baseball. We talk about everything you love about the game. I'm here joined with Remke, Krazzy, Clutch, Matt Gree, and Lil Cokes. We're all here to talk about some Mario Baseball. We're going to start it off here with your almost weekly event is going to be Charge the Mound. The big baller himself, Baltor in his own mode, facing Remke. Very good mode, a very good set. Remke winning 2-0, wins that one, takes home, was there a prize that one, Remke, or was there no prize at all?
Big old $20.
Big old $20. Shout out to Frame One.
Shout out Frame One. Thank you, Frame One.
So Baltor has his ranked leaderboard denied as well. Some things to talk about. How did it go, Remke? How's your set versus Baltor?
It was a lot of fun. I had a great time with it. We in true big baller fashion, we had, some good old back and forth, like a little bit of trash talk going on. I had a lot of fun with that. We both had some good quips at each other, I think. I had a couple that I was ready for, and I did not appreciate him roasting my stream room, though. You know what? This is my apartment.
Can you blame him, though?
I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment. Give me a break.
I'll give you a break, but can you blame him?
No. No, I can't. It's the worst part.
He knows he deserves it.
One thing I want to talk about for this topic here is, do you actually think we should have a big ball of ranked mode?
Yes. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's so much fun. I mean, as it is, people I think in Stars On, people only use line drive stars and captain stars because they're good. And I don't think in Stars On people really particularly like using line drive star or using Birdo Egg, for example. It is what it is, it's good, but I'd rather use it in stars. It's more satisfying to use in Stars Off. I think the only exception is the Pop Fly Star swings. Ripping a PM homer or a King Boo homer with the stars it just feels so good. It just feels nice to do that. And you eliminate the trajectory RNG. That's basically what using the Pop Fly Star does in Stars On for you. Because the contact you need to hit the home run is the same. King Boo's a little different, but it's basically the same for Stars On just charging. But it's always going to be high traj. So investing a star to make that happen, I think is worth every time. And I do miss that in Stars On, but other than that, I love big baller mode. It's so much fun to just raw charge swing with just about everybody. I hit a beautiful moonshot with Moonball himself in game 2 of the Big Balla series, and it was it just feels so good. It feels so satisfying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're coming from. Me being a big Stars On guy, I'm really into that type of stuff, so I always like using the abilities, but I feel like it's a very good center ground between, hey, you have your normal Stars Off, that's your Mario Baseball game. Your Stars On, you kind of get up a little bit. You're kind of oh, this is real baseball. You're throwing a lot faster. You're doing a lot more stuff here. It's harder reaction time. They're pitching it faster. I feel like the no stars on there now makes it a completely different game. I want to hear from you, Coke, specifically. I don't want to call you out here, but as a developer, how's you're the guy. I would say it's the second person in the bot role for the Rio bot. Would you think it would ever come to the scene at all?
Ranked big baller mode, I think I would want to see more regular demand for it first. I know people obviously Baltar's very big on big baller mode. There was a big baller tournament as well. If the demand is pretty consistent, I'd be for it. If it's going to be something where people play it briefly and then kind of just stop and go back to Stars On, Stars Off, it might not be worth it in the long run. I know people were talking about, a ranked UU mode for a little bit when that got popular. We had our tournament. We had our fun with it. People were talking about, should Fire Bro be legal? Should we ban the monkey pitchers? Should we just ban them entirely? All this stuff. People got really into it, really involved. And then I want to say it was like 4 days later. No one cared about UU anymore. Like it kind of just really dropped off. So if there is a lot of demand for it, I mean, I'd be down for it. I don't think it would really. It wouldn't really take like that much more effort. I want to say to add more modes. We just have to coordinate between Cactus's ranked bot, like doing the elo, and then Poke Bunny's matchmaking bot if we were to do matchmaking for it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as the reigning UU champion, I might add, who has not played a single game of UU since that tournament. It was great for what it was for a couple days. I think I said this on like a couple podcasts ago too, but it's just like that's what it was. It's over. Like I'm done with it now. I have no interest in playing that mode again. However, this might be my hot take of the day, and we're only like 5 minutes into recording. I genuinely think Big Baller mode might have potential to overtake raw stars on as like the default like stars on gameplay that people want to do.
That's definitely a hot take.
I think it might be a hot take, but
yeah.
I think it has potential. So yeah. I'd be curious to hear. Now I think obviously with a few things adjusted, like I think it should go to all stadiums. I think it should go to like I know Baltor's not a fan of this, but I think it should go to drop spots off. I think a couple other things that Big Ball has unique to it, but I personally think I like Big Baller more than just regular stars on.
Well, let's get some input from the chat here. So we have a Flatbread and Ducky saying they do want that Big Baller ranked mode. They are interested in the Big Baller ranked. So I mean, hey, I'm not speaking for the whole community here. It's just two people, but it will come hopefully, maybe soon. A real web that would make it a big option. So yeah, Boomerang Bro says in quote, "Inject it into my veins."
Ducky says he can't take such a based opinion like that without warning. I'm assuming that was about Big Baller being better than regular stars on.
People are saying it's the ultimate way to play.
It's true.
Topes, do you think some people not bringing it up constantly in specific around like events like Charge the Mound or when we do have the tournaments, which like I said, we've had only a couple of them and it sounds like Baltor's trying to make it a regular series. Do you think that's more about interest waning and things like that, or just not wanting to bombard the 3-person team that'd be responsible for putting that together constantly of, by the way, we want this, and then the next day, this is day 2 of me asking for this, day 3. Anyone knows Yu-Gi-Oh, what is it, I forget who does it, but it's like day 500 waiting for volcanic support. He puts it on Twitter every day. So yeah, I wonder if part of that has to do with it too. I was just curious if you thought something similar, if you do think it is an ebb and flow, just kind of when events happen.
I could definitely see that. Which if that is the reason, thanks, because people are being a little considerate. But I can never really tell when people ask for Big Baller. It's kind of hard for me to know if they're just memeing or what. I mean, the name is literally called Big Baller mode with like the apostrophe and everything. I can't really tell if people are like being serious when they're saying like this is truly the ultimate way to play and inject it into my veins and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I can never really tell if it's like how serious it is. What I would actually look for though is just like the entrance for the tournaments and viewership, if people are talking about it more in 600 IQ and trying to develop its meta, and if that's consistent, obviously, because there's a lot of interest. Again, there's a lot of interest in UU, and then now there's really none. That's kind of like what the thing I would look for in terms of trying to see if there was enough demand or interest for that mode.
And folks, now you have the formula to get
there you go,
into our ranked world set. There you go.
Yeah, so if you want to add new game modes, just be very interested in it, I guess. Spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
You got to get a bunch of signatures, whoever has the most signatures gets their game mode added into the bot.
Basically, yeah.
Yes.
And I think I kind of said this the other day in relation to another conversation, but I think I said something about be the change you want to see in the world. Some people might be like, oh, well, if I want to talk more about Big Baller and like explore it and like understand what the meta might be, then like make it ranked so that way there's a reason to do it. Mm-hmm. No, how about decide what the meta is, investigate it, hold tournaments that anyone can put on. Anyone is more than welcome in this community to put on a tournament and explore things. And then maybe that's what's going to drive the interest to kind of codify and unify and make something, a recognized board. So I guess that would be my answer. Anyone that's like, well, why am I going to spend this time when there's not a ranked leaderboard? Well, why would Coke spend the time making a ranked leaderboard if no one's talked about how to make the mode better and what's the most optimal way to play it, and also show that there's interest in it? It's a two-way street.
All right, well, let's gonna move on from this. Big Balla, we all love it. Hopefully we all love it, but it's definitely a different game mode. So I mean, we still have some more time. Everything's changing. We have a bunch of stuff coming in, so I feel like it has a good chance to make it. That's just from me. Now, I want to have a Clutch. I want you to branch off of this a little bit more with the Switz Blitz finals. I know I watched a little bit of the Toasty and Poke series, but if you want to explain a little bit more about everything else that went on in that top four, go up right at it.
Sure. So Swiss Blitz finals, we had a bit of a delay, so it was top four: Toasty, Poke Bunny, Faceman, Boomerang Bro. Boomerang Bro is a new net player to air travel, is what I heard, so they did not play their semifinal series, so only Poke and Toasty played at the originally scheduled time. But I think that's more than okay, because they had a 3-game set for the record books. Game 1, Toasty, for the second time in Swiss Blitz, is down 10-0 in the third inning. Comes back once again to win it by a score of 11-10 with a body check walk-off. Absolutely amazing game. Absolutely amazing comeback. Poke wins game 2 6-1, so, just got us to a game 3. Back and forth. Toasty wins on a walk-off homer, 8-6. And the legendary pop-off, it's probably going to end up being a copy pasta. He absolutely had the time of his life after that win. Big shout-outs to Toasty, because I appreciate it, because he knocked Poke down on the leaderboard, so now I'm sitting at 2 behind Remke.
I think scientists need to investigate how the frequencies that Toasty's voice reached in that pop off.
Yeah, I posted it in the chat for people watching live.
Yeah. So completely legit. It was a monster series. I kind of followed it throughout the night while doing other things. I'm knocking things over on my desk. But it was a really great series, and it shows, once again, like I said, about making tournaments and doing things. This is a completely new format, doing Swiss as a tournament, and it's leading to a 3-game series that will probably be referenced into the future. I'm just going to say that. So
it was a really good series.
That's why we want more competitive baseball and more tournament baseball, because it leads to great stories like this. And so I hope people are encouraged by something like this to do something, and also I hope top players are encouraged to keep signing up for these experimental tournaments, or tournaments that are just doing their first run, because you will face really good people and you will have really great matchups like that.
Boomerang Bro
says he's playing. Yeah, Boomerang Bro says he's playing a Swiss Blitz tourney today. So
nice.
Hopefully next week we can have the coverage of the tournament being over. But hey,
yep.
Let's hope that series is as good as the Toasty Poke one. That was super interesting to watch. I was doing some other stuff with Net Play Superstars, getting everything ready for the stream when that does happen. So I was going in and out of Photoshop onto the screen, and I was just like, wow. He was down 10-0. I have the audio on. He's getting constant hits and stuff. For a spectator, I watch a lot more Mario Baseball than I play, so trust me, that was one of the most hyped games I've ever watched. It kind of rivaled that whole game. Kind of was the energy that we got if people were watching the Dinger City meetup with the Matty Ice para catch. Basically, was that the whole rally that Toasty had. I loved it. So definitely give it a watch on Toasty's channel. I think it's Chris Toasty OG. I'll put it in the chat if anyone wants to look at it. So anyone want to add anything about Swiss Blitz before we go on?
I do want to say I call Boomerang Bro a new net player at air travel. As far as I know, I'm 95% sure that it was airline/airports being crazy right now, not anything he did. So I do want to say that before we move on. But that was just a funny joke. But yeah, I said that I really like that Swiss was getting a try. I think it could be a really great single day format in the future. And Toasty earned his top cut by going 5-0. I think Face was 4-1, and then Poke and Boomerang Bro were both 3-2, but they had the best tiebreaker, so that means they won or lost to the people that had more wins or losses than other people at 3-2. For people that don't know how Buckhold's tiebreaker works, I hope I said it right. So you kind of got a 5-game sample for why these 4 people were in top cut versus some tournaments we have are more about single games. We'll talk about that later. And some tournaments are a pool system where 2 losses kind of knocks you out. So I think it's really interesting. I can't wait to talk about the conclusion hopefully next week. And I hope to see a Swiss Blitz too.
Anyone else want anything? Yeah, go at it.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say is that I'm pretty sure Poke ended like 1 or 2 elo above Toasty last elo board, and so that like entire series was pretty cool to see, like how close they were, not only in elo but like actual skill. Very interesting.
Yeah. It was anyone's ball game the entire game, and Toasty just came on top after that rally, shut him down. I feel like it was 10-0 after 3 innings, if I'm not wrong, and Toasty just shut him down in those last 7 innings. So, hey, congrats to both players. You guys both put up a really good ball game. But hey, it sparked a little meme in the server, and it'll be remembered for a long time now. All right, well, we're going to move on here to the Stadium Series. Malice in the Palace, hosted by Vickless Falcon. We have top 8, I believe, if I'm not wrong, being Rumkey, Toasty, Vickless. And do you want to go off this, Clutch? I can't read that.
Yeah, so the last of top 4 is going to be one of Hell's, Ticket, or Boomerang Bro. That's kind of the part of the bracket that's waiting on the top winner side.
All right, my bad. I couldn't translate it right, but hey, another good tournament by Alex. I love these Stadium Series tournaments. For one, that I love Stars On, and for 2, that it's like something completely different that we never had before. I mean, we have these like UU tournaments, we have these big high level tournaments that play superstars, etc., but never like a specific stadium. That always got me like thinking like, hey, that's so much more stuff we can do. So I'm all for these, and it's just a nice way to play the ball game. Remke, you are still in this tournament. Who are you thinking is going to take you down, if anyone at all?
Well, Vickless has been on a tear. We know this. He has been he's been playing really well. Last time I played him in a set was Stadium Series at Peach Garden, and he took me down there. So yeah, I mean it's me and Vickless for our next round. We talked about maybe playing it tonight. I don't think we're gonna get to it tonight, but I know we're gonna get to it soon. But I'm excited to see how the rest of that tournament shakes up. I mean, obviously, I'm gunning for it. I'm gunning for the next tourney win. But yeah, it'll be a really fun set between me and Vickless. It's been fun. These Stadium Series has been fun, like kind of developing the metas. I feel like we learned a lot more about Peach Garden than we have about Wario Palace. I think at Wario Palace, the main thing is that people are starting to figure out how to play around the tornadoes, because those things are very weird. Like the fielder swaps that you get from the NATOs are brutal sometimes. One thing I've kind of figured out with it is that if you kind of manually select your fielder to be like a middle infielder, or even like manually selecting an outfielder, I feel like a lot of the times it'll stick to that fielder you picked. So we'll see how. I'm like pretty certain that that's the kind of play around for it. I still need to kind of confirm it. But we'll get some more testing done. There's still plenty of games to be played at Wario Palace. Yeah, loser's side needs to catch up. But no, I'm very excited to see the rest of that tournament.
Yeah, hey.
Speaking of loser side, Vickless is definitely on. He knocked Brew down to loser side, and another classic Vickless Brew game 3. It's inevitable.
I love those
run
matchups.
Away from it.
Those are always good.
So I mean, just for example of how on Vickless is right now, he took down Brew. So to get to that top 4.
Yeah, I feel like it's anyone's set in that one with its Vickless and Brew. They have so many good like matchups. It's a meme in his stream now. Every time he versus him, he has that fear and aggrosity Thanos meme, and it gets me laughing every time. I love his sets. It's always funny that the joke of PJ is going to like ruin his game by biting his Ethernet cord or barking in the background, causing a ruckus or something. So I like it. A very good matchup in the community that has been happening a lot during the Stars On tournaments as well as the Stadium Series tournaments. Very good job by both players again. I'm looking forward to that game with Remke, you, and Alex. It's going to be a very good one. And then let's see how that tournament concludes. It's going to be a good one. It's going to have some very good matchups and very good games. Anyone here interested in joining like the next one? I think the next one's going to be DK Jungle. I know Matt and Krasy, you guys are not like that big of Stars On guys. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But like, you guys interested in joining next time?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to play more Stars On, especially with what Vickless has done with these Stadium Series. Just watching his streams and seeing like the things he's thinking about as a Stars On player, it's definitely made me a lot more interested in the format. I haven't played in a while, and this summer I'm a little bit crunched for time, so I haven't been able to join these. But hhopefully this next Stadium Series, wherever it is, it might be DK Jungle. But I hope to join that one because I've really liked what the series has done. Today, we pulled some stats, or John from the Rio dev team pulled some stats and showed that Peach's Castle became the #1 most played stadium for Stars On with the Stadium Series because of it. It was normally like down at the 3rd most played, but with the 59 games that were played on it during the Peach tournament, it shot up to #1. And then Wario is sitting right there at #2, which it'll probably it might not surpass it with how much is left in the tournament, but it's sitting right there at #2. So we're getting to see a lot of games played. Like 33% of games, all Stars On games played at Peach Stadium happened in that one tournament. So we're seeing a big sample size of stats and stuff drop from that one series in a short amount of time. So it's really good to help develop the meta for each stadium, which is, from what I've seen, is so important for Stars On. You can't even make a tier list built for one stadium. Most players are splitting those tier lists into 2 spots. So being able to have such a good data set to pull from in such a short amount of time is really beneficial to developing the Stars On meta.
That's a really good point. I just saw that when I was at work today. So like, it's changing the game. Krasy, you interested in joining it at all?
Definitely the DK Jungle one. I think DK Jungle is like what I love about Stars On. It's just like ripping dingers. Not huge like meta development. I just want to charge swing and I don't want to say hope that I hit a dinger, but most of the time I'm just hoping.
Anyone else interested? Like anything you would add to the tournaments like coming in the future?
No, I think
scoring.
A lot of scoring. Yeah, I will say I probably will also be interested in joining. I think at that point we'll be through MPS 11, and I've been saying for a while that I wanted to sit down and learn some Stars On. So doing it at one stadium instead of trying to learn, well, I already know a little bit of it, but trying to memorize multiple stadium metas, multiple stadium quirks, and things like that, and also try and remind myself how to actually hit Stars On pitching and how to pitch Stars On pitching. I will definitely like a easier deep dive into it by just focusing on one stadium at a time. So I think that's something that we haven't talked about yet about the Stadium Series. I actually think that's the best way for Stars Off players to get into Stars On, is because it takes a lot of the choice out of Stars On and a lot of the changes that can happen throughout a 3-game series, which can be a bit overwhelming. So I know Hells is in Malice at the Palace. Sometimes play Stars On, but not very common. But I would be curious to ask him if part of the allure of doing that was because it was only one stadium, and I know he's a big Wario Palace fan. I think that's something that we haven't talked about for this tournament, and I think actually it's really beneficial. Is if you're on the fence about whether you really want to dive into Stars On or not, join a Stadium Series because it simplifies some of the choice process that you sometimes get when you're just playing Stars On normally.
A little bit of a transition question before we like head off this topic into a new one. I'm going to target you, Cokes. You're in like a different spot as of everyone here, okay? Everyone here plays a lot. They have like some free time. I know you're focused, like your main focus of time is for developing the game. Let's say you had like a spare amount of free time. I want to hear what tournament would you join to use that spare time for?
It's a good question. I am signed up for MPSS 11 at the moment, so that's but that's kind of cheating, for me to pick that one. I
What do you mean? TOs could be their own tournament.
No, but no, for me to pick like my own tournament is the one I would enter. I'm a little bit biased. Besides that, I'd love to play in a I'd love to play in a stadium. I know it's the topic that we're talking about, but I'd love to play in a series like that. That or like Charge the Mat. Charge the Mat is pretty cool too. But there's just a lot of like really interesting. There's a lot of really cool tournaments that are coming up lately. I even can't keep up with all of them that are going on, which is really awesome to see. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on, which is like, it's great. It's great for the players too, because if you can't enter one tournament, there's a good chance it's something else that's going on as well.
There's so much going on. It's a good thing, and hey, it's kind of messy right now, but with what you guys are saying, Rio Web's going to be the solution to everything. I'm super pumped. Like, you can do any ranked game mode you want. You can do all these tournaments through there. It's going to be so cool. I'm so happy what you guys are dedicating your time to this. Like, it was mentioned in Net Play General, I believe, or General Chat. You guys are all doing this. You're self-taught. Some of you guys, like, shout out to everyone. I know 2 of you guys are in the call. 3 of you actually. 3. It was Clutch, Matt, and Cokes. You guys are all working on something to better make this game in the community the way it is, and everyone else in this. You're helping out, making a podcast. You're doing your own thing, playing, showing it off to everyone. So hey, let's take a little bit of time. Thanks everyone. We'll transition to the next topic here. Clutch, your tournament, the MBA Cup. You're through round 1. How about you talk about it?
Yeah, so the MBA Cup has been a huge success, I think, so far. I know I had to put in really strict DQ rules and things, and I don't know if that scared anyone off, but I think I only had to use it in one case. Everyone else played their matches pretty much on time or slightly after, but they were so communicative that it was really easy for me to just be like, yeah, just go ahead, play Monday night, even though it was due at like 6 p.m. Monday. Like, play at 9 o'clock. That's fine. You told me, and I knew. So we've been on time, moving at a great pace. People are very much ahead. So round 2 is wrapping up Monday, but we already have people that are advancing to their round 4 games. So I guess initial findings and initial storylines. The round 1 games that were all super closely matched up games where I only put people 1 seed apart from each other. Did exactly what I wanted. Some of the higher seeds won, some of the lower seeds won, but because it's only 1 away, it's been a lot of close games and a lot of really interesting games. I think people have really enjoyed that. So that was really awesome to see. And then I guess this will be the obligatory update every week. The current Giant Slayer holder is Colby 2D with a plus 11 score because he beat Matty Ice in round 2, I believe that would have been. So he's the current leader for the Giant Slayer prize. Has been our biggest upset so far. But then some other notable names moving on. T-Bling and Stuff Flatbread have put their names down for round 3. And Chris Toasty is already 1 win away from top 8. He's on to round 4 already. So shout out to that bracket for being way ahead of the game. But yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think the early games, like I said, a lot of close ones, a lot of fun ones. I think people really enjoyed that. So I'm glad that happened. Now we're kind of at the point that I expected where I'm dropping in some of the, minions and the mid bosses, and we're starting to get some higher scores. But in about a week, we'll be back to the point where the matchups will be really close in the seeding level. And I think we'll get some really good games again. And I mean, there's been good games regardless. Only other thing I'll say is apparently I accidentally made a meme. I decided that I wanted a really clean Discord thread. So if you got eliminated, I kicked you out. And if you were a minion or a mid boss, I started bringing people in as their matches were ready. So that way you weren't getting a bunch of messages before you were even ready. And apparently I've had some hilarious times when I've kicked people out. So I think I'm just going to make that a MBA Cup feature from now on. You get evaporated when you're knocked out by me. So
get the boot.
Yeah. I think it's smart. You just want to have a clean area. I would do the same thing, but it is kind of funny looking at the Mario Baseball meme channel, just seeing someone getting kicked. Like, that's kind of funny. So I'm not even a part of it. I enjoy it, so I hope other people do too. I want to get some like opinions here. People that aren't participating in it, or if you are participating in the MBA Cup, if there's something you think you could change, what would you change? I want to hear from the chat too, comment section on YouTube. If there's one thing you could change about NBA Cup, or anything you could change about NBA Cup, what would you do? And as well as, what do you think like could be done differently, or what, like, I don't know, kind of like restating my question, but like, what would you change if you could?
For me, I know Clutch kind of made this into like a low commitment, but also like an upset kind of prone tournament. But for like a longer form tournament where you have a week to play your games, I'd love to see it be a best of 3 series. I feel like you could get a lot of like back and forth counter drafts in the best of 3. I mean, obviously you don't want to make it too long, but I would even like maybe a best of 5 series tournament in the style of this. You might get less signups, but also I feel like it could be real fun because I've had a lot of fun recently playing some best of 3s, best of 5s. I even played a best of 9 with Boomerang Bro, and it just got fun. We were playing very similar strategies the whole time. We kind of figured each other out early on and just stuck where we were. So I think that could be fun in a tournament form. So, I mean, maybe Clutch doesn't want to take the NBA Cup that way, but we could see a different tournament be a longer form tournament with a higher number of games per round.
Anyone else have anything to add before I read the chat?
I think my one hot take is probably having either NBA Cup determine or having NPSS determine the seeding of the other one. I think that would be pretty dope. Because if we want them like interchanged, like Clutch kind of made it sound like he did, I think that would be really cool.
I think the idea was, like I said, I wanted NBA to happen at the end of each ranked season as kind of like a capstone to the ladder. Like, I don't want it to be like, yeah, the winner of the NBA Cup is like the champ of the whole season. Like, obviously the ladder was done over multiple months, but like, I think that's kind of the idea, is like the ladder is like the Premier League season, and the cup is like, you know, it's another title on top of that of like, oh, you had the best run in the tournament. But yeah, I want it to be counter to MPSS. I want MPSS to be kind of that quick hitter multiple times a season, biggest major we have, and then NBA to kind of be that long form. We'll take our time. We'll be little tortoises and, you know, play one game a week. I guess, and as long as I'm talking right now, I think best of 3 is definitely an option for the next one. I've been super impressed with how smoothly the deadlines have gone and people have been on top of it. And I honestly haven't been on top of people. I haven't had to be, but I kind of want to be next time, a little more vocal about when deadlines are and things like that. But I think with how timing has gone this time, I would have no fears of going to a best of 3 if people were interested in that. So.
Yeah, Ducky Don in the chat saying, give the option for 1-2-1-1. That would be, I know Clutch has said this before to me personally, but the rule was 1-2-2 when we started it, so you wanted to end it like that. So if I'm not wrong, you wanted to change it as well with the ranked rules.
Yeah, so in this case, my intention is not to have the NBA Cup straddle a season, because there's going to be exactly situations like this where we change a big rule or we change the draft style, and then it's like, well, which one do you go with? And we started with the games at 1-2-2. So I can't have some people start with that and then have a new draft style later in the tournament. So for this one, that's why I decided to go that way. I think it's just fairness. As much as I'd like to say that like people can agree, then there's a different standard played across different games, and I think that's a bit too variable. So that's kind of why I left that rule in place. That's why I said people could count it as ranked or not, because I know Coke said, you know, you can do 1-2-2 draft and count it as ranked on this leaderboard, even though there's 1-2-1-1. But I think in future seasons, I think I would have a vote before the tournament of, okay, there was this big rule change, and this is supposed to be like, the Summer Cup is supposed to be the end of the spring season. Do we want to keep the spring rules, or the changes proposed for summer? Do we want to have that in the cup? I think I'd leave that to a vote going forward. And like I said, I would not have it straddle both, so that way we were doing the same thing throughout.
All right. Anything to add on the NBA Cup so far?
I just want to mention, like, I think that's absolutely the right call, like what Clutch was saying with not wanting to change the rules and change the standards mid-tournament. I think if the idea of NBA Cup is to be something that happens at the end of the season, like you said, you can definitely take a vote on this. But using the season, like whatever season just ended, using that rule set in the NBA Cup, it just makes sense to me. I mean, again, you could definitely vote on it. If there's a rule that like is so wildly unpopular, everyone hates it, and everyone just wants to move on, like, all right, sure, just move on from that. But if the idea is like being an end of season type of event, I think using that season's rule set just kind of makes sense, as it's just like the last big thing of that season. If that makes sense.
All right. Hey, I think it's a good way to close it off. Something that we haven't had before. And Clutch, you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go into the viewer comments here. If you have a viewer comment that you want to leave, you can leave it down in the description on YouTube or in the chat on Twitch. For this one, we're live on this episode. I don't think we ever mentioned that. That's kind of funny. But yeah, you can go ahead and do that now. Do we want to read the one we didn't read off beforehand? Clutch, right?
Oh, sure. So we did this one last week, and it was from PK Kirby, and we got 3 of the 6 hosts to give their answer to this question. But I said it would be a fun icebreaker question going forward for new hosts. But I wanted to hear what hosts that have been on the show before have to say. So the viewer comment last week, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have it exactly in front of me.
I do if you don't.
If you're a character in Mario Baseball, which of the 4 categories would you fall under? Balance, technique, speed, power, and then which special ability would you have out of like sliding catch, clamber, laser, ball dash, etc.?
I guess I'll go first. I didn't answer this one. So in my opinion, I would have placed myself in the power category because I like smashing dingers. That's what Krasy said earlier, smashing dingers. So that's all I'm about. And my special ability, I would give myself body check. I feel like that's what you got to do. If you're going to hit dingers, you're going to want to hit some people on the base paths. So I would do that, topple over some like baby Marios, baby Luigis. Feel good about myself.
You're an umpire in Little League, right? Do you have any experience in body check in that?
No, I have not had that happen to me. But when I did play baseball, I played travel, and some kid did body check me. I held onto the baseball, and I was okay. I held on to it, got the out. Did feel a little bit weird after that.
But what would your weight be in Mario Baseball? Maybe that's also a good question.
I think
it would be a toad body check.
It would be a 3. I would be a 4.
Solid 3.
I'm not built like a 4. I'm built like a 3.
Like a Hammer Bro or a Birdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see a Birdo build.
Yeah.
I got the nose for it. I got that nose for it.
Or a Waluigi build maybe.
Yeah.
Is Walu a 3?
I made that video. I don't remember.
I don't know either.
I know that's what you were meaning, but maybe I'm
Real
wrong.
Real butt.
Wait, Waluigi is a.
He's a 3. He's a 3.
Is he
there
a 3?
you go.
Where's it at? Yeah. All right. Krasy beat me to it. He is a 3. Wow.
That's awesome. Love tall linksters being a 3. We are no pushovers. I'm not exactly tall, but I am lanky.
Who else didn't answer the question? I
didn't answer it.
Even though
Cokes and Remke's, so Remke's got it.
I think I'd call myself a technique character. I feel like I'm very like strategic in the way I approach things. So like I feel like that goes into being a technique character. I don't know, because like I wouldn't call myself fast. I wouldn't call myself like absurdly strong. Like I've always been like a pretty good athlete. I've always been like had good hand-eye coordination, like things like that. So like I'd definitely be closer to like on the technique side. What would my ability be? Probably like laser, or maybe like wall jump or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of any of the other abilities that aren't just like absurd superhuman capabilities.
One ability people haven't claimed yet is wall splat. Do you want that one?
Oh, the wall splat.
I didn't even think about that.
That's something.
Or curve trajectory.
That
Ooh,
counts.
Curve trajectory.
curved hits, yeah.
There we go.
Cokes.
What about you, Cokes?
For me, so I would absolutely be a technique character. My big when I
Technique.
wrestled, I knew all the technique in the world. I wasn't always the best at executing it, but I knew the technique.
Cokes
I'd
was a
have to be
wrestler?
technique. I was a wrestler.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. You have a lot of
Awesome.
Cokes
Yeah.
lore to
I
learn.
have heard that, yeah.
I wrestled for a bit, yeah. I'd definitely be a technique character. My ability, so I've been thinking about this. I think I'd pick Ball Dash because it's by far the funniest ability in the game. I feel like I would
True.
take it just because it's hilarious. Like I'd love just getting people out on ball dashes, just running zooming all over the place.
I would argue wall splat might be funnier, but it is definitely in the
Okay,
top
that's
2.
true.
It is definitely in the top 2.
Yeah, one of those two. I can agree on that.
Does Ball Dash apply like off the baseball field? Like, can you just like hold a baseball and just
That'd be
go
pretty
anywhere you
nice.
want?
You just always have like superhuman speed if you're holding a baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd always be holding a baseball.
That's kind of a cheat code. That's kind of a cheat code.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like, what does laser do for me in real life? Like, I'd rather
Yeah.
like Ball Dash. You just turn into the Flash. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to add anything before we move on to the next viewer comment? Well, PK Kirby.
No, let's hear from the boomer.
That was a phenomenal comment. I actually enjoyed that one a lot. But Nat, like Clutch said, we have the boomer comment from none other than Hell's Hero. I will read it from him. Now for Boomer Takes, featuring Hell's Hero. With Raleigh Draft, I think that a lot of people are just adverse to it because it's change. I think the fastest way for a competitive video game scene to die is to refuse to change because that's not the way we used to do things. Coming from a League of Legends background, Boomer Take, the game gets a major update every season and a minor patch every 2 weeks. And people inevitably complain every time that there wasn't enough and too many changes. Even from a competitive melee perspective, the legal stage lists have changed. Technique bans, counterpicking, rules have all changed multiple times in the past 5 years alone. Nolan Draft was at one point a new concept, and I'm certain there were people who thought it was a bad choice to change from 1-1-1 draft, including Nolan himself. So I see no difference with this change. I, for one, think that a game will become slightly more in balance with Raleigh Draft towards second pick, but us trying a new format and seeing how it works far outweighs the concern. We could find out the new draft makes the game more interesting, or in the worst case scenario that everyone hates it, we can just revert. In the end, the draft meta will eventually settle, someone will try something new, and it will change again. We should embrace the chaos instead of bitching about it.
Preach.
Thoughts?
Can I start here?
Go for it.
Go ahead.
So, last podcast, I'm pretty sure my take when I left the pod was I do not want to switch. I think it's too imbalanced, and we should stay where we're at. If you go back in the Discord logs, I think you can see that my final vote was to switch to 1-2-1-1 for the new ranked season. And it is for this take exactly. I think it would have been unnecessarily restrictive to talk about the potential for more imbalance when we've been clamoring for more balance between player 1 and player 2 for the whole time. Yeah, maybe it switches to second pick, but hey, if it goes from, I know the easy number thrown out was 55-45 split. If that 55-45 split goes to 54-46, second pick having the advantage is still better than first pick having the advantage with Nolan. So, I mean, negligible sample size, oversimple, argument, people. Stay with me. But I think Hells is 100% on the point here, which is, not trying things and more specifically implementing more restrictions than allowing the game to breathe and have abilities that open up tech discoveries and new strategies and things like that. I think just doesn't allow the game to grow. We saw an example of this dingus bunt. Instead of banning it the minute that Krasi figured it out, we tried it for a couple weeks and it was universally hated. And we quickly, the code took a bit longer because we tried to put it with 0.1, 0.9, which that was a whole nother mess, And by the way, mess not caused by Cokes and Peacock. I saw what happened. Was not their fault. Was not anybody's fault.
Apple.
Just life happened. Just
caused by
life
Apple.
Mac moment. Sorry. Sorry that I play on Mac and so I'm important. Basically, people gentlemen's out of it because everyone hated it. So same thing here. If everyone hates 1-2-1-1 draft in 2 weeks, I would have no problem reverting it in the middle of the season. But I think generally people have been excited to try it out, try new draft strategies. I've seen so many different team cores I've already played 35 games, I think. I think I'm far and ahead away on the top already. Yikes. I really enjoyed seeing the different drafts, and it's not just because I'm playing people that are new to the game. That's the only time I'd see new drafts was when I was playing people new to the game, because they had like both some knowledge of what we were doing and also like their childhood takes. Literally no one knows exactly what to do right now, and I think it's starting to normalize, and we're starting to see a bit of like what's the best. But I've had a super fun time with it so far. I hope other people have too. Can't wait to see the numbers once we have a big enough sample size, but I think Hells is 100% spot on that. If we don't allow things to breathe and don't fully explore them before we shut them away in a box, we will never move forward and we will always stay behind. And we will play a less fun version of this game that we all adore and love. And change is hard. Change is so hard. I can't begin to say that. I told Cokes the other day when he said that he was going to start involving other people for MPSS. I told him on the side, I'm like, hey, like I am so proud of you, man, because that is your baby and your thing that you brought up, and you even willing to have other people involved with it is hype for this community and help it grow and it'll help it, reach new heights. But it is so tough to do and so tough to let up the reins at all. I do want to acknowledge that, across the board for this community, that change is hard, and I appreciate the people that push for it and try and make us move forward, even when there's a lot of people digging their heels in the mud and saying stay. And I also appreciate the people that don't just let change happen willy-nilly and ask for reasoning and ask for numbers and ask for things. So I appreciate each and every one of you for the discourse you bring every week.
True.
I'm about to tear up over here, Dan.
Yeah, well said.
That's very well said. Yeah.
Go ahead, Cooks.
No, I was gonna mention. I think I was originally kind of skeptical of 1-2-1-1. Like most people, I was like, I think this is a little bit. I don't know how well the balance is, but I definitely agree with Hell's Heroes comment like entirely. I think we mentioned this at the start of the season, like, hey, I put in my whole announcement post, like, hey, we're trying out 1-2-1-1. If it's horrible, if everyone hates it, we can just change it back. It's really not that big of a deal. And for the people who thought it was like so broken and so bad or whatever, that it was so much better for second pick, I was just like, well, you know what? It's free ELO for you then. Why don't you just farm some ELO and then we'll ban it afterward, But I think it's I really like the idea of just changing it a little bit, making the draft lines a bit more interesting. I've come around on it a little bit more. I've played with it a couple times. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people have been saying. I think the draft lines are definitely more interesting because, with 1-2-2, in general, when you take more characters at a time during a draft, there's less interaction in the draft. You're changing who drafts less number of times, if I'm wording that if I worded that well. And because of that, there's less decisions being made, and so there's less variation. If you follow my logic. Yes. Basically what I'm saying is that 1-2-1-1, there's more decisions being made and you're going to have more variation in the draft. So I still think second pick is probably a little bit better. Like if I win the coin toss, I'm probably picking second pick still. But like I still think the better player is going to win the game. Like I don't think you're going to lose a game and then put down the control and be like, man, if only I had second pick, I would have won that game. Like, I don't think that's really going to happen.
Yeah.
But
a quick point to that before I get into my spiel. Were there not a large was there not a large segment of people in the previous season that did the exact same thing for first pick? You know what I mean? Like, there's a pretty good, like, I mean, for a long time, there was a pretty good, like segment, I don't know the word, segment of people where that would blame a loss on not getting Bowser team.
I want to push back on that because I feel like there was one or two people who did that and
one or two
skewed your perception. There was a very vocal person who consistently every game wouldn't pick Bowser and then would complain when they lost to Bowser, and they were very vocal about it. I feel like it skewed people's opinion. I don't think there were many complaints about it being super unbalanced, other than like the stat with the 55-45. But there weren't that many, in my opinion.
That's fair.
I will say I
there
felt
was
it's a
bit of stigma.
disadvantage if I didn't win the coin toss. I will say that. But
Yeah.
I don't think it decided the game ever. I'll be very clear about that as well.
I don't think it ever
that,
did either.
that disadvantage was not so big that I couldn't play a good game of baseball and overcome it. And
Yeah.
I don't even think you had to play like amazing baseball to win a second pick. You just had to play pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So my spiel. I was one of the first people that really pushed to consider 1-2-1-1 draft. I don't know who put me on the idea. I don't remember at all. But I was one of the first people to really kind of start pushing it to, to Krasny, to Clutch. I would be sitting in Discord, like messaging them, hey, can come do a mock draft 1-2-1-1 with me. Come do a mock draft. I want to play a game. I want to see what this is like. I want to see if this is like more balanced than 1-2-2. Because with the draft, I think what the entire concept of a balanced draft comes down to is the top 9. The top 9 being Bowser, DK, Yoshi, Petey, Boo, Birdo, Madge, KB. I don't think I forgot anyone. Bro is also in there. The top 9. And with 1-2-2, Bowser team, or one pick, it's Bowser team, gets 5 of the top 9 characters. And one of those 5 is Bowser. With 1-2-1-1, the second pick team gets 5 of the top 9, but one of those is not Bowser. The general consensus in this community is that Bowser is far and away the best character in the game, enough to where he is the only character that has an active nerf on him. Unless you consider the 2 fielder swap limit a nerf to Yoshi, which let's not talk about that right now. We'll
Good
get
call.
to that another time. But Bowser is the only character with a true targeted active nerf on him. And my theory was that giving second pick 5 of the top 9, where one of them is not Bowser, will make it more balanced than the other way around. Now, the question is, does second player or second pick having the pick advantage for filling out the other half of the draft matter that much? And I think that's still a question we're trying to answer. In my opinion, it doesn't. Because while, yes, the community agrees that the top 9 is the top 9, and there's an order to that top 9 that people don't really agree on, but there is that top 9 that is a pretty big gap. Most people do not agree where the rest of the characters fall.
No.
And you're going to see that a lot in Cokes has a little feature coming soon of a little tier list poll, we can maybe call it. Cokes might have a better name for what he's going to call it. I'm sure he's been brainstorming this. This is a bit of a leak, maybe. But he's got some good stuff coming for you, but for tier lists and opinions. But moral of the story is that people do not agree on 10 through 18 of the characters that should be drafted. Or at least the order of characters that should be drafted. And so my thought was that, yes, second player gets the pick advantage technically, But if we can't agree on who's better than who there anyways, why does it matter? That's my take on it, and that could be wrong. That could be proven wrong. That's why I wanted to try out this draft system, and that's why I wanted to do mock drafts, and that's why I want to like explore what this has to offer, because I think this genuinely has a lot of potential to be more balanced than 1-2-2. And it has been like, early on, everybody's picking second pick, and I think probably that's correct. I think second pick is better than first pick. I don't know if it's outright overpowered or outright more unbalanced than 1-2-2. We're still figuring that out. But I'm curious to see what the numbers come back as. And I've had a lot of fun with the new draft lines. It's been really fun actually putting more thought into the draft. People are, but like I say that I feel like I'm kind of solving it, but like when I say I solve it, very, very few other people agree with my draft. To be completely honest, like I've done a lot of convincing and arguing for my draft and my like what I think the draft of the top 9 should be. And a lot of people disagree, and I think that's a great thing. That's great for the meta. People have their own preferences. People have their own things they want to prioritize in the draft. And I think that should be taken advantage of, not hidden behind, okay, these are the groupings of characters, and you never have to make a decision between these two characters. Like people with 1-2-2 never had to make the decision, Magic Koopa or King Boo, Birdo or Boo, Yoshi or Hammer Bro. People never had to make those decisions. They were made for them because they got both the picks. And I think making people make that decision has been really, really interesting. And that's not even to talk about the rest of the other half of the draft. So I have been a big fan of the draft. I think it's been a lot of fun getting strategies. It is a little, as of right now, I believe it is a little overtuned to second pick. I don't know if it's more overtuned or not than previously towards first pick, but we will find out soon.
Anyone else want to add about 1-2-2, 1-2-1, anything that like came up in this recent change?
Nothing too long, but I've been enjoying the games that I've been playing, especially in the draft. I think I've been seeing a lot of interesting draft lines, and I'm curious to see how that kind of works with a large number of games, because I think one reason why I wanted 1-2-1-1 is because I had played so many Nolan draft games that it kind of got boring, and I'm wondering if 1-2-1-1 will fix that. And right now I can't say because I haven't played enough.
Yeah, I've been doing it a lot in my my league. I have like a little league of all my friends. We have like 10 people, and we're all drafting 1-2-1. It was before it even came out. Like once 1-2-1-1 draft came out, I said we're switching to that to try it. Everyone's been liking it. It's new. We can change anything we want to. I think we've been playing without Bowser captain too, just to switch things up. And it's been working for us. We're not the best players. We're like C tier, probably D tier. But like we just do it to have fun, and it's cool. It's different. I think if you can experiment different rule sets, go for it. And maybe, like we said earlier, make a tournament for it. Show it to the community in one way or another. Anyone else want to add anything about it?
Yeah, real quick. I think it's just in general a good thing that the best character in the game who is actively nerfed by the rule set doesn't also get the more top tiers on his team at the same time. I think that in general is a good thing. RemQ was talking about before too, with the fact that is it still balanced? The fact that the Bowser team is lagging behind, is behind in the draft. Besides, outside of the top 9, so 10 through 18, like Bowser team is behind. Does that make it unbalanced, or does that not matter? I think it matters in the sense that if two players both agree on like which characters are best in that 10 to 18 spot, or which characters are both better for their team, second pick gets priority. But at the same time, when you have a character like Bowser on your team, I think it's a good thing that you have to make sure that you can still do well with the rest of the characters on your team to make Bowser actually as oppressive as we've seen him in Nolan drafts. Like, you can't just rely on, Bowser getting walked and then you have 2 home run hitters behind him on top of a Magikoopa Star Swing and a Boo at bat or whatever ridiculous lineup you have from Nolan draft. And then also, it doesn't even end there. You might also have Mario in the back. Maybe you have 4 stars and you can use a Fireball. You might have Toadsworth on your team, or you might have even towards the tail end of the draft, like, you have like a Paratroopa or a Noki or something like that. You have just so many heavy hitters, and Bowser getting either walked or pitched to. So just like, tying that all up, I think it's just good that Bowser team has to prove that they can still work with a lesser team, I guess, or just not like their favorite team, I guess, while still having Bowser on the team and making him work. I think it's just probably will be a good thing in the long run.
All right. Anyone want to add anything? That was a really good response, Cokes. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was good. I think one thing, I just have like a small thing to add on. I think when we're talking about draft lines that are not 1-2-2 or 1-2-1-1, we've had a lot of conversations about different ones. I think a big thing that like will never let us do these is that we really have to keep the draft simple. Like, it really shouldn't be overcomplicated. To be something that's just like counterintuitive to what you would think a draft should be. If you want my take on what the actual most balanced draft is, it's 1-2-1-1 until the top 9 is done, and then you go back to 2-2-2. And that's what I think the actual most balanced draft would be. But I don't think making a draft centered around like what we think like a cutoff in tier list is a good idea, because that will make like people that are new to the server like kind of question like what's going on. That'll make like, I don't know. I just don't think it's the best idea. I do think it is the best, most balanced draft, but I don't think it's a good idea to implement that draft.
Yeah, for us here, it's like, that's pretty simple. Oh yeah, Madge got picked. Okay, now it's 2 from here on, because we know that. Okay, Madge or KB, because you can't flip Madge KB between 8 and 9 with this draft format. But yeah, anyone else new coming in, Madge might not be the 9th best character in their eyes from when they played the game as a kid, and so that it's not as simple for them. And so I think you're spot on there.
A lot of people don't like Magikoopa when they're like from like childhood playing the game or just like casual playing the game. A lot of people don't like Madge. I know. I think like this is getting a little off topic, but I think one of the funniest reasons people don't like Madge is how absolute garbage he is in the outfield on the Wario challenge team.
I was gonna bring that up.
Like, watching Magic, like when you hit like any sort of charge hit, because you always charge as a casual in Stars Off. Charge hitting into that outfield in Wario's Palace in challenge mode was so free because of just how long Magikoopa takes to wind up and throw the ball, and how absolutely weenie arm it comes out. Like, I think it's so funny that like that is probably a huge factor of why people don't like Magikoopa.
Yeah.
Another reason is Slide Drive Star. Pretty sure not a lot of people.
Oh yeah, no.
They don't know his Falcon opportunity.
Yeah. Righty Red Match Falcon Pop. Exactly.
Yeah, Dinger City yesterday put the word out that Righty Red Match has Falcon.
I can't believe Dennis didn't know.
Yeah.
How did Dennis not know?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Dennis didn't know that Righty Red Match had
What are
Falcon
you talking
Pop.
about? No, what are you talking about? Righty Red Match does have Falcon
Hey,
Pop.
didn't know.
It's just
Yeah,
words.
Dennis
Dennis didn't know.
that he had it.
He does.
Right.
Now he does.
Now he does
Guys,
know.
it's
We
not
made
over.
sure. Now he
Now
does.
Dennis-
It's not
We
over,
made sure
guys.
Dennis
Bad
knows.
bit, okay?
No, it's really funny. They convinced him that it actually is Falcon Pop. It's just bad because he has low trajectory.
And before Dennis looks
That's
at
why
this,
it's a
Dennis
line
still
drive.
believes it. Dennis still believes it.
I'm pretty sure at this exact moment, Dennis believes it still.
So we might have to tell him. Other than
Look,
that,
that's not our prerogative.
yeah.
That's not our.
No.
That's Joey, Jason, and the rest of the Dinger City boys.
Oh.
That's their job.
Yeah.
They can break the news to him.
All right. Anything else to add on this?
One last thing about 1-2-1-1. I know there's a tier list I put out there recently, and I want to say that tier list was true for like the first 30 games I played. But there's a reason I put it out was because I was being very experimental, and I wanted to see if there was something I'd missed before I switched to something more traditional. But I have found that while I like the idea of PD1, so you have open captain choice, Bowser 1 pick is still the best pick. I have gone back to it, and I think my results, without having stats in front of me, I feel like I get better teams. And so I don't think 1-2-1-1 is so unbalanced towards second pick that Bowser still with a captain lock on him is still the undisputed number 1 pick, I think. So I don't think it's so far unbalanced that we've gone too far, because like I said, that captain nerf still makes Bowser the first pick and the number 1 character. So I don't think it's too far gone, if that makes sense.
True. And again, like with that, I think if we do figure out that second pick is way overtuned, then I think we unlock Captain Bowser, or unlock non-Captain Bowser. I think that's. I know some people do not like that, particularly the Dinger City fellas. I think Cokes is on the absolutely not, you don't want to open this can of worms train. But I would love to see it. I would love to play with it. I have not personally experienced the monster that is non-Captain Bowser. And you know what? I think it'd be fun. If nothing else, it'd be fun.
Yeah, it probably would be fun. I think, like, not to, keep dragging this topic out too much, but from Hell's Hero's comment when he's talking about change, like, in League of Legends where they change the rules, or they drop balance patch every 2 weeks to 2 months and stuff like that. I don't think it's a bad thing to just experiment with things. If it's terrible, we change. If it's fun, it's fun. At the end of the day, that's what everyone is here to do. Of course, everyone wants to be a competitor. Everyone wants the game to stay competitive. They want the better player to win. But that doesn't mean we also can't have fun while trying to do it. So if non-Captain Bowser, well, I'm definitely one who will warn against it. But if people want to try it out as a fun, more fun rule change, if they think it'll make the game better and get more people involved, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Unless, of course, if it's like some ridiculous 75% win rate across all net elos or whatever, like, okay, maybe we should reconsider, but...
All right, Boomerang Bro in the chat is yelling Coke's Draft. Can you please explain to me what Coke's Draft is?
Yeah. So, I actually don't even remember what Coke's Draft is referring to. The one I'm thinking of is the one where it's 1-2-1-1. Bowser team can captain after their 4th or 5th pick or something like that. I always mess around with the numbers. This is one of those drafts that I thought of that I think would be good in a small group of people who are just trying to like get balanced teams with an interesting draft. It should not be like the net play standard. It's too complicated. I'm the king of thinking of ridiculous, complicated draft rule sets. Most of the time I do it as a joke just to point out how like broken something might be when I'll talk about like ninth batting, like a Bowser has to bat 9th or Bowser has to be righty, and I can't even keep track of all the things I've thought of at this point. But the Coke draft that I'm pretty sure Boomerang Bro is talking about is the one where Bowser team can captain after your 4th or 5th pick or something along those lines. Essentially, what happens is that Bowser team will usually they won't get like a Birdo or a DK captain. They're probably going to get a Luigi, Diddy Kong, Wario captain. They could get Mario captain, but the non-cap Bowser team can always just draft Mario a bit earlier to take Mario captain away. It's pretty interesting. I think if you ever get the time, if you're ever bored, it's kind of fun to try out. I kind of like it, but again, it's one of those things that you do more so for fun in a smaller group, and like not something that would be the net play standard.
Folks, you said something really interesting there earlier.
Okay.
You said you said a possible nerf being righty Bowser.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit on why this is a nerf, because some people will hear that and just think, oh, Rowdy Bowser, that just makes him uncomfortable. That's just like weird. Why are we playing Rowdy Bowser? It's just weird. It just makes it uncomfy. Like it's just like why it, like you see Righty Bowser come to the plate and it just looks weird. It's like Righty DK. Like just what are you doing? Just stop. But recently, as the wonderful Roaming has discovered, Roaming, huge shout outs to Roaming, does a lot of great data mining work, a lot of great stats and all sorts of that kind of stuff, coding with all that kind of stuff. Great work. Huge shout outs to Roaming. Roaming recently discovered that there, like many other spots in this game, is a mistake in the code referring to righty bats versus lefty bats. And as far as I understand, the mistake is that most, well, I guess not most. It's that righty batters, when they're batting righty versus lefty, a lot of characters have different contact zones.
Do you want me to hop in on this?
You can, yeah. If you know a little, you probably know it better than I do. So go ahead and give a better explanation.
So this all started with Roaming and Nuche in the server. They've been really, really digging into the batting formula, and Roaming's actually put up a calculator where you can calculate where your hit will go exactly. Based on all the factors that we've discovered all the factors that go into the batting output. And so in that, we've been looking, Roaming and Nuche, Roaming's doing a lot of the work, and Nuche's doing an incredible job of recording it. He's made a Mario fan, I think it's a fandom, it's a wiki page that he's recorded so much information. Basically no one knows about this, but it is an incredible resource for technical details on the game. It basically takes all the discoveries and modding and has put it into a wiki form. And so about last week or so, Roaming came back and was looking at how a contact on a bat is graded. And so when you're close to the perfect spot, you get a better grade. You're going to get a better contact. But then a mistake in the code was made that typically the plan was for the developers to flip lefties, just flip their bats, make them a righty, and then do all the calculations. So that way you had one like formula to do all the calculations, just flip the lefty batter to righty. But in the code, a mistake was made to where the tip of the bat was flipped incorrectly. So a lot of characters have a strong tip of the bat because in baseball, if you hit off the outside end of the bat, you're going to get better contact than if you hit off the inside end of the bat. So the game made it to where an outside end of the bat has stronger physics than the inside of the bat. But unfortunately, with lefty characters, in a lot of cases, the flip was done incorrectly. So the tip of the bat property was applied all the way across the inside of the bat, and the outside of the bat property was applied across the tip. So it doesn't really affect the outside of the bat because it's so short that you don't get the massive drop off, and it massively affects the inside of the bat because you have a much smaller zone stretched over that entire inside of the bat. So it's completely broken Bowser. That is the reason Bowser has such a strong bat as a lefty, especially as a righty. He doesn't have a strong as a bat. He has that he's a very strong tip, which is probably intended as the developers. They wanted to make Bowser a strong character, but they did not want to make him as strong as he currently is in the meta. So that super strong outside tip was stretched all the way across the inside of the bat, and to the point where Bowser, as a slap hitter, cannot hit a sour inside contact. And then when you're charging, the zones shrink up a little bit. It's really hard to get an inside sour contact with Bowser. You have to be extremely jammed to do that. So it's kind of funny to me that possibly the entire Stars Off meta was shifted by this accident in the code. You know, maybe if the developers accidentally or don't make this mistake, they get it right where the righties are the same as lefties, Stars On might not even be as popular. You know, home runs could be significantly harder to hit. You've seen it with righty PM. No one hits a righty PM home run, but lefty PM can hit them a lot more. If it's like that with Bowser, he's not as good. You know, we'd see a lot different tier lists and everything, but we might even see just people shifting to Stars On because it wouldn't be as fun if home run hitters were not as good and it was way harder to score runs in that regard. So that's one thing that I found interesting. And then secondly, with this bats discovery, Roaming's made a list of like all the contact grades where it's good to hit the ball, and you can see which characters have a super spread out, like Bowser, like Waluigi. Some of those get that bump. You can see the difference between the right and the left-handed batters. and he's made a great image comparing all the bats. You should definitely check that out. And then with that as well, all the bats are exactly the same size if it's not a trimmed bat. So Bowser's bat is technically as long as Waluigi's bat, which is as long as Mario's bat. And it all has to do with how the characters can move in the batter's box. So the character's contact zone multiplier, which is determines how big the contact zones get based on certain factors, that is actually used to determine how far across inside the batter's box they can move. So someone like Waluigi, who has a bigger contact zone multiplier, can move further inside the box, towards the plate, and can hit those outside pitches. Which it's possible the developers intended this, but it's also possible that this was just a miscommunication. The stat might not have been meant to be used for how you can move in the batter's box. So it's another thing to where having all the characters with the same size bat could be pretty dry as a meta. You know, you see like different like degradations between like Luigi and Mario. Like, oh, Luigi is a longer bat, Mario is a shorter bat. That might make Luigi better than Mario. But we'll never know, but it might be that the developers intended that all the bats be the exact same size. And so there's just a lot of interesting stuff that's been discovered within this last week, especially with these bats and with the batting formula and contact zones. And I mean, we have codes to fix it, but it's not going to be accepted as the main game mode. It's just built into the game at this point.
Yeah, so if you ever want to play the game as the developers intend it, make everybody righty.
Yeah. Matt, I don't know, maybe if I can simplify this, and I might be oversimplifying it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that contact zone multiplier that you're talking about in the last part of your explanation about like where they can move in the box. So basically, because Waluigi, I don't even know if this is true, but because Waluigi can get closer to the plate in the code, that's why he can reach farther pitches than like Mario. Mario's not allowed to get as close to the plate with his bat. Is that what it is?
That's the given theory. And
okay.
I mean, it hasn't been tested extensively. We have the mods to where you could probably figure out character positions and all that. I don't know if that's been tested, but Roaming suggested also that it might just be a model misalignment as well, that it might not visually look like they're closer, but they might actually be. So that's one additional possibility for it.
I think that explains why like you can throw the ball like through Boo and you don't get hit, or like I'm thinking like DK2, like in terms of like their model alignment for where they're at in the plate. That's why like you can.
Or someone like PD, especially, you throw that inside pitch, you're getting hit by pitch every time, even though it doesn't look like you're going to hit them.
Big old belly.
Yeah.
But that's I always thought it's really funny, like seeing how like the batter's feet align in the box. Like you look at it and like most of the time, like they stop being able to move closer to the plate when their toes are touching the white line of the box on Mario Stadium. But then you bring someone like Hammer Bro up to the plate, and for some reason they could just step like across the line entirely. And like they're almost on home plate when you're all the way over, and it's really weird. I don't get it. Like if you ever like want to see if you want to see it weird, pick one of the bros and move all the way as close to the plate as possible and look at their feet. They're like almost on home plate. Like it's really strange, but it's really strange.
I think the obvious one is then Bowser. How close Bowser can get, like in terms of he's so far off the plate, even when you move all the way left. Yeah.
Big right, boy. And he has that massive 1.65 multiplier or whatever, by far the largest in the game.
Yeah.
Toads is pretty egregious. You move to like the front, and he's still like halfway in the back.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Same with Peach. Like Peach is like it looks like she can move so much closer to the plate, but she just can't.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that explains it. That explains why the bat's so short, why the bat reach is so garbage. It's kind of crazy because if Peach had more bat reach, she'd be such a better character.
Yeah.
All right.
But really cool discoveries from Roaming. Huge shout out to Matt Gree, who helped kind of interpret all this data. Matt and Peacock does a lot of work on that stuff too. Am I missing anyone, Matt?
Nuche, for sure.
Nuche, yes.
And Maury gets a shout out too. Maury's in there helping poke some discoveries as well.
Yeah.
This is also
huge
cool.
Shout out to all them that do all that data mining stuff. It's way over my head. That's for damn sure. I see ball, hit ball, and pitch ball over plate, and I use the information that people like Peacock, Matt, Nuche, Roaming give to me to do it better.
I want to give a personal shout out to Nooch because I actually put together the wiki, and my intention was to look through modding and start documenting it, and he just started doing it himself, and it's now opened me up to do other projects that I honestly have more passion for. So I want to give him a huge personal shout out because he took something that I thought was super important for the community, and I was willing to put my efforts towards it, and then instead he has. And I'm sure one day I'll go in and maybe clean it up a little bit more because that's kind of my thing. I'm a little OCD. So maybe make it a little more readable and hopefully get more people in there because like I said, I don't know how many people know that it exists. So we should probably change that.
Shout it out right now. What is it? Give us the link. We'll drop the link and get in there.
Yeah. So I want to give him a personal thank you on the pod.
Hey,
it is hard to find.
It's pretty cool.
Real quick, on the Rio, like the Project Rio.online website, there's an extra resources tab. If you open that, I have a link for the Mario Baseball wiki on there, as well as Roaming's batting calculator. So for anyone watching or listening, if you're interested in that stuff, if you're already familiar with the Project Rio website, it links to all of that stuff that we just talked about on the website already, so it's easy to find.
There's a lot of good stuff there.
Or Krasny can just link to it in the chat as well. That works too.
Nice.
I also like the
Found it.
what was it? The stat cards. Those are really cool too.
Yeah.
If I was new, I would have looked at that first thing. It's super easy to digest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Neil's work. It was really nice stuff.
Shout out to that. That's pretty cool too. Anything else we want to add before I want to do one more thing before I end off the episode.
What you got for us, Raviannn?
Well, we had a viewer comment from C's, and we kind of blew over it, like not like on purpose. It was because the Hell's topic put us into the 1211 topic, and that put us into the modding discovery topic. So I want to put that through because I don't want to miss out on it. It was pretty cool one in my opinion. So C says, if you could create any stadium for Mario Baseball, what would it be? And I want to go first because I was thinking about this whole time since I was like wanting to do it. So I'm a big person on like fielding size. I don't know if anyone plays MLB The Show, but like that thing was really cool for the community. You could change and make any field you want. I would have a field kind of like Fenway where the wall goes super high. You have a short porch. You have all these weird different walls and different like angles and stuff to mix up the game. Kind of like how DK Jungle or Gariel Stadium has the pole. Sorry, no, not Gariel Stadium. What am I thinking of? Bowser Castle has the poles in center field, like right in left center field, how it kind of like shakes off how you can clamber on the walls. Just stuff like that for the fields, but you can actually clamber on it. Just different directions, different wall heights, everything like that. Make it not as centered as most of the stadiums are. Make it wacky. Anyone else want to add?
I got a stadium idea.
Go for it.
So I would make a stadium that is essentially DK's jungle, like in terms of wall height and distance and everything, except in right field towards right center, like in that third, like the 1/3 section of the field arc. Make that wall like 50 meters high. Clamber can actually be used there, and Bowser doesn't hit free. You can actually pitch to Bowser now. It would be my favorite stadium. And if your opponent actually wants to hit dingers with Bowser.
LOL.
Oh
no!
Jokes.
We are
Suspense.
holding.
Put you on suspense. If your opponent actually wants to hit dingers with Bowser, they gotta put him righty.
Oh.
Or they gotta push with him. No, but I think like in general, I think like memes aside, I think a tall wall in right field would actually make clamber way more useful and like used in general. Like
Way more
Peach's
fun.
Garden, the wall is close and really tall in center field, but no one's really aiming to hit home runs over center field, so it's not really used as much. The walls in left and right field are also fairly tall, but they're also pretty deep, and you don't normally get there in time. The blocks also get in the way as well. I'd like to have a stadium that was just like, yes, we want you to clamber on this stadium. You should be picking Yoshi second and Diddy Kong like ninth on this because clamber is amazing on this stadium. Like I would really like a stadium like that, because right now, like a Mario Stadium, Clamber's next is like very, very situational.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, one day, we're getting all these different modding discoveries. What if one day we could just make our own custom map? That would be sick. Or maybe we could add like obstacles. I know you added like on Peach's Gardens that big wall of the blocks. Like, what if one day we could do all that and make it incorporate into a map? Like we load it into Toy Field by holding I think it's L. Maybe we do that and it loads up to a custom map. That would be cool. But that's probably way off in the future, not even possible. Anyone else?
Get on it, Cokes. Get on it.
No.
Yeah,
Dude.
come on.
After rollback, I'll get it added in.
Roll back Mario Baseball.
After Funky Kong.
Funky Kong.
Anyone else want to jump on this? Anyone have any ideas?
That's just sitting here in the short time I was thinking about it. Maybe like an outer space themed map, and maybe some obstacles you could have. You could have like a couple low gravity zones.
Low gravity.
Where you could get some higher jumps. Maybe
Super duper jump.
That'd be
sick.
sick.
But it wouldn't. You don't want it affecting the whole game, because then it's kind of a gimmick. You just want like a zone, kind of like a tornado area, to where you could get those jumps, or maybe you get some meteors flying in, crash in the stadium.
That'd be cool.
Could have some interesting obstacles out there in space.
That's pretty cool.
That'd be really
I like
neat.
that idea. Anyone else want to go?
Gree put that up, and I'm trying to think of what it's called, but there was a space stadium in Backyard Baseball 2005 for anyone that played that game. So if you can remind me what the name is, I'd appreciate it. The two stadiums that I thought of off the top of my head, and I don't think these would actually be like competitively interesting, but I'd want to make not a one-to-one creation of Wrigley Field, but have a basket around the outfield wall. I'm sorry, it's funny. I like the cheap homers. I actually would like it removed at Wrigley, but people like the litter at Wrigley because bleacher bums. So I think that'd be a funny addition. The other one would be Kauffman Stadium, KC. That's like the only like perfectly evenly dimensioned stadium in baseball. So just having, like I said, like the whole wall all across is like 380, or like I think that'd be really cool. So basically that it's equivalent to hit towards left field or right field. I think those would be the interesting ones off the top of my head. I think the real like fun thing to do would exactly what Coke said. Have a giant wall somewhere to make Clamber interesting. Force characters that are good lefty to have to hit righty. I don't know what else we could do for certain characters. I would love a stadium that would make like Mario and Luigi viable home run hitters, more than just like lining up a perfect, just like, or heck, I'd be fine with Madge being a home run hitter by like just hitting a push line drive to left field. Sounds great to me. I think those could be interesting ideas.
If I can jump in right here, I think maybe not ideal, but my idea would be like an actual like usable competitive format of Toy Field, whether that be like not those cheap outs that like bounce and you can get them on the one hop.
Yes.
Or one where it's a real game, but it's also a Toy Field game where if you hit like an area, it gives you like a hit.
That'd be pretty
or
cool.
a home run, something like that.
That'd be wild.
Yeah, and keep the physics obviously of all the bounciness.
Well, Remke, do you want to add something? I feel like you have to now.
Man, I don't have any like creative ones.
Well, I guess that's it.
I feel like okay, the one that I'm thinking of is like from past like MLB games, you could literally just like draw like whatever outfield wall you wanted to. So you could just like randomly make like the left field corner like 500 feet deep, I'm pretty sure. Just something like absolutely insane like that. Or just like, just for no reason, just be their like center field, like dead center field, be the shortest spot on the field to hit a home run. I just think stuff like that's really dumb, and I think it could be really funny. Like just kind of like a little like make your own kind of deal. I think that'd be funny.
Hey, I feel like it's cool.
I just had an idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, you made me think of that. What is this? So if anyone knows the Polo Grounds,
Yep.
that used to be in New York, That seems like a dream to me because the outfield is freaking huge. It is not made like a normal stadium. The left field line was 277, the right field line was 256, and the wall went straight out. So if you wanted to hit a home run, you had to hit it to exactly the left field foul pole, the right field foul pole. Otherwise, you were hitting to dead center, which is 433 feet away. And the outfield, like I said, just moved straight back. It wasn't curved. So that outfield was huge. I actually think you would have to play the babies just for the range because you would need left field, center field, and right field to cover so much ground.
Can we imagine a DK banana on a massive field like that?
Oh my gosh. It would land every time.
Imagine a chem laser throw. Wow. Laser might be a really good thing on that stadium. Because you're going to think with the baby Mario and baby Luigi, they have baby arms, so that thing's not going to go that far.
True.
So I think you'd have to have the laser. Maybe like a Bowser center field. Like, you know, it's not that fast, but once he gets that, you have Bro at the plate, that chem throw with the laser is going to be big.
But you could put Bro at second base.
True, that probably might
that
be...
point.
Yeah, that might be equivalent too. All right, well... I think that's going to be it. Our first ever live podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on the Twitch side. Thanks, everyone, for watching on the YouTube side. If you want to get more of us, you can find us on YouTube on my channel, Raviannn. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music. Leave us some reviews. I appreciate everyone putting the viewer comments. If you have a comment you want us to read on the next episode, leave it below. Follow all these guys on Twitter. Follow them on YouTube. Subscribe to them on YouTube. And give them a follow on Twitch. Appreciate everyone coming in here. If you have any other questions, leave it in the comments below. Leave some constructive criticism as well. Anyone else want to add anything before we go? Well, as I always say, folks, thank you for watching. Adios and goodbye. Thank you for watching the Mario Superstar Baseball podcast. If you enjoyed this one, you can look at the other one that will be right in front of you right here. Yes, right in front of your face. Make sure to watch that episode. I'm not lying. Please watch that episode. It's right in front of you. Just click the goddamn button.